Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring the new release from Colorado Craft Company and Anita Duram. These, I couldn't pick one. That's basically what happened. So we're having a slimline, scene card. I used Team Cat's Lift Me Higher, Lift You Higher, and Picnic Cats. And because I couldn't make a choice, because they're adorable. And there's dogs in this too, and you guys know that I'm a dog person. But these cat stamps just went together so well, it just begged to be a scene. And so here we are. So my slimline is going to be 8.5 by 3 3/4. I am stamping, this is a half sheet of Nina 80 pounds whole white cardstock so that I can fit all of my little scenes on there. It took me, I inked. That's why I had to speed through that part. And then stamp them down, and then we're going to move right into the coloring. This whole video is basically coloring. So anyway, this is part of a blog hop for Colorado Craft Company. They are giving away, they're doing giveaway a stamp set per, like, they'll pull a winner from the comments on each blog hop or each stop on the blog hop. And then if you shop through the designers affiliate links, which mine is listed below, then you're also entered into a drawing to win the whole kit and caboodle. So really, really great giveaways. Colorado Craft Company, they have amazing products, but they're also super supportive of their designers, which I always appreciate. So anywho, we're going to start with the coloring of the white or gray objects first. In this card, as you've seen, if you've been following the last couple of videos, I've been using a combination of my sketch markers and Copic markers. This card is no different. I'm using a combination of both of those. They work really well together, and there's no reason not to. So I am. So the first cat I colored white, which means I just added the shadow areas with the grays. For this cat, he's going to be a combination of gray and white. See how I gave him like a little spot, a little patchy spot over his eyeball, and then I'm leaving his belly white, and I'm adding the shading around the kind of the outskirts of his belly, the peripherals, if you will. And I felt like I lost his little spot on his eye, so I went back and darkened that up a bit. And then I'm just doing a lot of combinations of grays and browns for my cats. The only exception is this guy, the one who's under the buddy, who's doing the lift up, the bottom rung of the ladder, if you will. I did him as like a tiger kitty. And that's what I'm doing here too, is like kind of like a gray tabby kind of look. That's why I'm doing the little stripies. Anita's style, which is adorable. I mean, I think we can all agree that this is adorable. I'm not even a cat person. I prefer dogs to cats. I love all animals, but if I'm going to own one, it's going to be a puppy dog. But her style really lends itself really, really well to being a bit more liberal with our coloring, which I totally appreciate. And what I mean by that is because her style is very whimsical and it's not exact, like you can see with the leaves of the trees, okay? Like there is an illusion of a tree top, and you can see that, but really what she's drawn is she hasn't drawn specific leaf images per se in all of it. She's just drawn swoopy lines in a way that gives your brain fills it in, that gives the illusion of this treetop. And so because of that, it's super, super easy to use them to make a scene, especially where we're blending kind of our die cuts into the background. Now this card, we would not have to do any masking. I could have stamped these all flat and colored them. But I really wanted to show you the couple of tricks that I use to blend die cuts into a scene, because there are several of us, I'm sure, who I don't mind fussy cutting, and I know that there's people out there who don't mind fussy cutting, but some of these images like these, like you're not gonna fussy cut this. Like that one in the bottom, the picnic cats, that tree, get out of here. I'm not doing, no way. Okay, the answer is no, it's not gonna happen. And so the dies are super helpful. And if we purchase the dies, then obviously we want to get our money's worth and use the dies. And it makes it really easy to build a scene if you have the dies. So here I just wanted to note, I originally had picked a different color combination. That's why you could see some of the lines when I was going in to draw his little stripes. And it was dry. Oh my gosh, that marker was bone dry. So now when I buy my refill for my YG17, I'm going to have to buy a refill for that one. I think it was E89, I think is what it was. But anyway, apparently I haven't used it in a very long time, which, I mean, I think we all kind of had our go-to marker combinations, so I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but it does need some TLC. It needs some loving. So now that all my cats are colored in, again, just a variety of grays and browns, I am going to start moving on to some of the other areas. Here, doing this blanket is checker patterned, which you don't have to color it that way. You know, you could color it as a solid and it would still be super cute. But I did want to play up, since it is a picnic, you know, I wanted to play up that checker pattern. It is easier to go in with your gray markers and put shadows all over everything and then fill in your checks afterward than it is to try to do the squares individually with the like one white square, one red square, one white square. Well, I'm not going to do that. It's easier. Just put grays all over everything. The red will cover it up, or whatever other color you pick to do your checkerboard pattern. For the trees, these trees, again, her style, guys, her style is so forgiving. So I'm just going to kind of follow the illustration lines that she's already put down. You know, she's uber talented. I trust that I'm going to put the shading where she wants me to put the shading. And I'm just following along with that. I am starting with my darkest color, but you don't have to. If you're more comfortable putting in your shadows with your lightest color, then start with that too. I did that for years and years. And now I've just gotten to a point where I'm much more comfortable with my coloring because I do it almost every day of my life. I'm much more confident in my ability to put my shadows down where I want them to be. There are still some images where I'm less confident, and so I will go back and start with my lightest color. But we're all on different journeys, so you do whatever works for you. So then once I have my darks down, I'm going to go in and then just work out towards my lightest color. You can see there isn't really a whole lot of flicking going on here, which is a technique with alcohol markers that can really kind of trip people up, getting the right flicking motion. But you don't always have to use the flicking motion. So because of the way that these are drawn and they're very kind of whimsical, I'm not even bothering to use the flicking motion for the vast majority of it. I'm just kind of going in, scribbling on some color to get my colors to blend, and then I'm just moving on to the next color. As long as you're following those guidelines that are set in the stamp for where your shadows should be, it's going to look great, I promise. And then for the lightest color, I just went over everything to blend it out really well. I am going to show you the coloring of the other tree because I didn't want to leave it out in case that was the stamp that you bought and you were looking for guidance on how to color that. But I am going to speed it up just a bit. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, you have the capabilities of speeding it up or slowing it down. So if you need something a bit slower, then by all means, just adjust the speed and maybe mute the button. I had people, the last time that I did a video where I mentioned that, I had people who slowed it down to see what I would sound like and people who sped it up. And they confirmed that, in fact, I do sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks if you speed it up. And I sound like I've had one too many adult beverages if you slow it down. So maybe just, mute it if you decide to do one way or the other, or have yourself a real good time and listen to it, whichever way entertains you most. So for the picnic basket items, I'm just going in. I try very hard in order to make sure that my card is cohesive, that I am reusing the same colors over and over again. First of all, because it makes the card look better, because everything is very complementary to one another, but also it means I have to link less product. And I appreciate that. And so does my family, because then it takes me less time to link it. But yeah, so that's that. And we'll just go through and do some coloring and have some story time. We'll do what we normally do, where we kind of interject where we need to as we're going along. And if you're a person who's not a fan of story time, this is now your time to speed it up or mute it or whatever. There's your high sign. So anyway, in the last video, this video is going up late. Like, I'm doing this voiceover and it's 7 o'clock. So I imagine you guys will be seeing it around 8 o'clock, which is a really late video for me. I had intentions of getting it up earlier, but the best of intentions. Let's talk about the card again. So here for the little checkerboard pattern, the only portion of the blanket, that I could see the full line was the very edge. And so I started there to make sure that I was correctly skipping squares to create my checkerboard pattern. And then I worked towards the back where there's, little kitty tushies and plates and stuff, which they have a veritable smorgasbord here on this picnic blanket. What do you call it? Throw? Is it a picnic throw? It's a picnic blanket. It's a blanket. I mean, it even has the little things on the sides. But anywho, like, they got the little fishes and some cat food and some eggs and some muffins and a little thingy of milk with a straw in it. It's adorable. The whole thing's just super cute. But anyway, so the last time we talked, I was telling you about Peanut's new bicycle. It did, in fact, come today, and he very patiently waited. He had a very hard time waiting, as all little boys do, waiting for Eric to get home from work so that they could finish putting it together, because it came mostly assembled, but like, he had to put the front tire on and the handlebars on, and while I am confident in my ability to figure it out, I knew it would take me far longer to figure it out than it would my dear, sweet, mechanically inclined husband. And so I was like, yeah, you could just wait for him. He'll help you. he will help you, my child. Because also you guys know, I'm just up against it right now. Like, it was a super heavy card week for me. And then the kids were sick. Kids are sick. Kids, it's getting better. It's getting better. Thank you for your prayers. I need them. My husband needs them. My children need them. We all need Jesus. Amen. But seriously, thank you for keeping us in your prayers. We appreciate it. It is getting better. And his mom is also feeling better as well. So we're all hopefully on the mend, but just like with my husband's schedule, because, he is not a person who has a job where he goes in and clocks in from 9 to 5. His schedule is very different. And, sometimes you get stuck, sometimes you got to go in, sometimes, he just gets cases that just pile up on his desk. And like, weirdly enough, though, completely different, what is the word I want? Styles of work? That's not the word I want, but you're getting what I'm saying. Industries. Oh my word. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lord. Industries. Though we're in two completely different industries now. The same thing happens where it's just like when your kids get sick, if you have this very busy packed schedule, it just happens to you, and then you're playing catch up. So I've had a lot of late nights this week, so I'm looking forward to spending some time with him, God willing. Let's go back and talk about the card. So now at this point, I'm doing the grasses. I chose not to show you all of the grasses because it is it's the same. Everything's the same. I chose to show you this one particularly because this is the one that has the little bushes. So you can see when I'm going in and coloring here, I am legitimately I'm tapping in the color. Tap, 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 like a little woodpecker. Tap, 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 tap. And the reason that I am able to do that is, again, because this is drawn like kind of super whimsical. You want your bushes to be darker in the center and lighter on the edges because more light gets through on the edges because the leaves are not as compact. And so I just wanted to point out, if I did not have the dies, if you are a person who doesn't have the dies, and I had just stamped the scene, this is how I would have colored it. Anita's style, because it is very whimsical and storybook, oftentimes her backgrounds are very simple, where you just maybe have a little bit of grasses, and then you have kind of like a blue oval or a blue circle that kind of encompasses the sky. That's exactly how I would have done that. If that's the way I was. If I was just stamping it and not die cutting it to combine them. Not die cutting it to combine them. I hope I'm making sense. Because I knew I was going to have so much green. This was going to be like the greenest park you ever did see for my little park party. My cat park party. I switched up the greens. So I made different greens in the trees than greens in the grasses and the bushes. And that was intentional, just to kind of break up the card and have it be a bit more interesting. And again, because, you know, the way that she draws is kind of like these swoops and swirls and stuff for the leaves, and not necessarily very realistic drawn leaves. I'm able to just do that same kind of tapping to fill them in. And you'll see that's also the same technique that we're going to use to make this a scene and blend in our die cuts. So I did all the trees the same way. I spared you that. And then to complete my little characters, I gave them little blush cheeks. The one color was a little bit light for some of them. And so I did go back in with a bit of a darker pink for the blush color, so that would really kind of pop off the coloring, especially with the lighter ones. And I thought that was perfectly adorable. So this is all 3 of the images. We're going to use our coordinating die cuts to cut them out. I do tape mine in place. I have not found a good tape that I love unconditionally. All of them drive me a little nutty. But this one right here is some satin masking tape from Altenew, and that seems to do okay-ish, as long as it's like stuck to my pants 856 times. So here, this is where we're going to start building that background scene. I have all my die cuts in place, and I'm using my pencil. You can see how far back I'm holding it, because I want it to be like the lightest of lines. And I'm going to do it on the top, and I'm going to do it on the bottom. And this is going to give me a really good guideline for where I need to add in my extras, so that my whole scene blends together. So I'm just, again, making sure that those are, you know, lined up, and then very, very lightly, like just the lightest of lines. You're not going to be able to see it on camera, but I can see it in real life. And then from there, I'm going to do a bit of ink blending. I totally sped this up. I do not ink blend this fast. I'm going to do a bit of ink blending in the background, just because it's the fastest way to get a lot of color on there. And also, I really like the way that the salty ocean kind of blends off into the white and gives me almost like these little soft cloud looks. I'm totally here for the soft clouds. And then I'll add a little bit of green to the bottom. Do you need to do this step? I know we're going to cover up the vast majority of that green, but that edge where it blends into the blue is really very helpful, so that you have a good, a good line for them to blend. So here what you see me doing is I'm holding my die cuts in place. I'm going in, I'm starting with my darkest color, and I'm holding my marker at an angle so that when I'm pressing down in kind of a leaf shape. So I'm using the side of the marker to create a bit of a leaf shape in those bushes. And I am just kind of pouncing that color in there. Underneath the die cuts, I'm giving myself a nice dark shadow, which will match the same coloring that we did of the die cuts, so that they'll blend right into each other seamlessly. And then I am doing just a bit of pouncing / flicking, whatever feels right, to the grasses, so that we have some color variation there, and it isn't all just one solid color of grass. And then once that is done, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in with that kind of side leaf shape up into my trees. And this is the darkest color for the trees, which I think is a G29. And you can see I'm just going to hold the die cut in place and I'm going to go right around it. I'm going to do some pounces. Don't worry about if there's like, you should have plenty of blue in between at this point, because you're going to go back over it with 3 colors. And also, sky peeks through the trees. You know what I mean? They're not solid. So in order to be able to see some of that blue in the background, that's great. That's gonna make it look even better. So once I have the darkest colors down and I have my basis in, then I'm gonna go back in with those 2 other colors and blend everything out. I am gonna speed this up, just because I'm doing that same kind of pouncing leaf shape for all of the areas. The one thing that I will tell you is, you can see here, like, I go back and I check. Okay, do I like this? No, I need to have some more. I need my tree to extend out farther. So once I have the die cuts in place, then I can see, okay, I need to add some leaves here, add some leaves there. And there were portions of the actual die cut, like the white portions, where I added leaves to that as well. For the bushes, I'm going to do the same thing with that kind of leaf shape pouncing. For the grasses, I'm going to do more of the kind of just like dotting it in, also including a little bit of flicking, working out to my lightest color. And because we trace the bottom of all the die cuts, they're all going to fit in perfectly where they need to go. And then it's really going to look really very seamless. I was super happy with the way that this came out at the end of the day. But you'll have to tell me if you're interested in trying it, because I would be, or if like you have an Instagram, tag me so I can see. I would love to see them. People do tag me periodically on Instagram and things that they have seen here on my channel and they're inspired by, and I love to see your creations. I love, love, love it. So please feel free to tag me so that I can see. Some people who don't necessarily want to share publicly will just send me a photo in a direct message on Instagram. Also, totally fine. So now, once I am happy with the way that the background is looking, I'm going to put just the 2 die cuts on the ends, to make sure that I have my spacing correct for my sentiment. This sentiment could not be more perfect for our cat garden party, our cat park party. Anyway, it says happiness is fresh air and good friends. And like, who wouldn't want, I mean, honestly, who wouldn't want to go to this party with all these adorable little cats getting into mischievous little cats? I personally, now, I have told you before and in this video that I'm a dog person, but I believe that by nature, cats are more mischievous than dogs. And I own Emma, so that's saying something. They're just, they get into a bunch of stuff. They're very mischievous, which also means that their stories are really fun and great. When you hear a cat owner telling stories about their fun little pet and all of the things, hijinks that they get up to. Also, I really love watching those videos, like those little reels where people show like different things that their cats are doing. Like one of them is, like when they put their food down, like they attack the food. It's very funny. Cats are a good time. But I'm still team dog. Don't judge me. So anyway, now once all the coloring is done, I am going to glue these down, and then we're still not done because this is the other way. And I do this in so many of my cards with die cuts. So if you're old hat here and you've been hanging out for a long time, you've seen this 100 times before. And this is just me going in and coloring that white edge. Colorado Craft Company does a great job of getting their die cuts really up close and personal with their stamps. There's not a lot of extra, but the extra that is there, because I have a scene going on, I do want it to blend in. And so I'm just going to go in. I'm using the same blue markers that I used in the coloring of the images, and I'm just using that to blend in. So if it's like a lighter sky portion that's blending into a cloud, I use the lightest color. If it's up in the corner or on the edges, that's clearly the darkest. I'm using the darkest blue color. And then also I just wanted to know that there are some things like at the bottom where there's a little cat on the right that's standing in the grass, and there's like a little stone portion of the tree. I did have to go in with the greens and get those. So just whatever color is up against it in the background, that's the color that you want to fill in with. It isn't all going to be blue skies. Sometimes it's going to be other colors. And then the last thing that I did was I added some white highlights, mostly to like the little picnic area. Here I just felt like I needed some more leaves, so I'm just filling those in. And you can play with it kind of as you go, until you're happy with the way that it's looking. But then I added the white highlights, and then that's it. So anywho, back to the very brief story time that we had. Basically, I'm almost light at the end of the tunnel. I have a video for tomorrow that has already been filmed. I just need to edit that. And then I should be back on track for next week, God willing. And so that's it. That's the whole card. So please, if you're going to shop the release, shop my affiliate link below for your chance to enter that giveaway. And then head over to the blog and Hopalon for your chance to win one of the stamp sets. So thank you guys so much. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.